geophonic alarms, 5-metre chain-link fences and massive walls lit by high-mast floodlights. Albany was built to replace Dartmoor. It's known as the British Alcatraz because they located it on the Isle of Wight, so even if a man succeeded in getting over the wall, he would still have some thinking to do. The first step Mountjoy took toward escaping was unplanned. In the corridor outside the recess, where the prisoners slop out, he found a button, a silver button with the embossed crown design, a button from a Screw's uniform. You never know when you might find a use for something, so he kept it hidden in his cell for 18 months before he acquired another. The opportunity came one summer evening when the Screws frog-marched him to the strong box, one of the punishment cells for troublesome prisoners. He had got into a brawl, a right straightener, as the old lags termed it, over a letter some cretin had snatched from him, a letter from his mother. Mountjoy wasn't pleased. He fought when the Screws stripped him and threw him inside the strong box. He ended bruised and bleeding, but in credit. In his fist he had compensation, a shining silver trophy ripped from a black serge tunic. When eventually he was returned to his cell, it joined the first button in a secret space under the spine of a dictionary. Screws hate being shown up as negligent. The slightest character flaw anyone reveals in prison is magnified many times, and the Screws fear exposure as much as the men they guard. Prison law suggests they are worse than the prisoners at grassing on each other. Rather than admit to losing a button and making a search that everyone hears about, a Screw will keep the loss to himself and have his wife sew on another. Prison culture doesn't always work in the best interests of the system. Mountjoy began to see possibilities in this. He started actively adding to the button collection. While working in the tailoring shop a month or two later, he met a new prisoner, a kid of 18, transferred from Parkhurst and desperate to obtain tobacco. A deal was struck. Everything in the prison is open to barter. Mountjoy let the kid know that a breast pocket button would be worth cigarettes to him, and he told the kid truthfully that if he got in a scuffle with the Screws, they'd treat him leniently the first time. Within a month he had the button, and the youth had 5 roll-up butts, 1 match, and a threat of castration if he grassed. One sunny afternoon, a long time after this, an unimagined opportunity came Mountjoy's way. Another feud had ended in fisticuffs, and he was back in the segregation unit under Rule 48. If they let you exercise at all in Whitehall, as the unit is known, it has to be solitary. The yard is divided by thermalite blocks into a series of narrow exercise bays. The Screw watching Mountjoy had just hung his tunic on the back of a plastic chair when he was called suddenly to a disturbance nearby. In the few seconds Mountjoy was left unattended, except by a camera, he completed his set of buttons. 3 years inside had taught him how to dodge the camera lens. In the prison world, certain escapes have passed into legend. The springing of the spy George Blake from Wormwood Scrubs in 1966 is still spoken of with awe. So is the helicopter grab of 2 men from the yard at Gartree in 1987. John McVicker's escape from Durham was made into a film. John Mountjoy was about to earn his place in the Hall of Fame. People say it was an astonishing gamble. It was nothing of the sort. It was a sober calculation, the shrewd bid of a player in a poker game of infinite duration. How would you plan it, given that you had a full set of buttons? Mountjoy rejected the obvious. He didn't make himself a prison officer's uniform in the pious hope of bluffing his way through the doors. That would run too great a risk. Screws may not be noted for their IQs, but they are capable of recognizing one another and spotting the flaws in a home-made uniform. He studied art. That is to say, he gave himself a reason to work with pencils and paper, drawing abstract shapes and shading them. Nothing too ambitious. As the tutor remarked, his style was more Mondrian than Picasso. Just black and white squares, small ones, regular in size. The tutor suspected Mountjoy was more interested in making a miniature chessboard than an abstract.